This is the Reds Postcast, your instant game reaction for the Cincinnati Reds. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Good evening, Reds fans, and welcome to another edition of the Postcast brought to you by Locked On Reds and the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. My name is Tim Daniel, and tonight's episode is brought to you by Kalshi. For a limited time, download the Kalshi app and use code LOCKEDON to get $10 when you trade $10. Well, on tonight's show, we're going to talk about some milestones throughout the show, including Hector Rodriguez and Matt McLain hitting big career marks, Gino moving up in the Reds home run list, and Elly De La Cruz hits 30-30 for yet another season in a row. And of course, we're going to talk about our guy. We're going to start Locked On Player of the Game a little different today. Let's give some love to Luis May.
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
So look, I understand that I'm here tonight. I'm probably a little bit more energetic than I normally am for a loss, and probably not great. I'm sure there's some people here who are a little disappointed, and maybe they should have played the game on time like we all suspected they would, and that didn't go their way because of a rain delay that I guess didn't happen, but I digress. Winning bullpen days is hard, and there's some people who doesn't matter. There's no silver lining. A loss is a loss. I'm not here to argue with you about that. But having a day where everything's kind of messed up, right? Andrew Abbott has to pitch a day early because Hunter Green's hurt. Now we know Hunter Green's not coming back this year. You're kind of almost in the sense where it's just go out there and play and see what happens with the results. And yeah, they lost. And they've lost a lot this year. So I've had a lot of practice in talking about losses. But I want to give some love right here to Luis May. And Crane Dog right here says, is there such a thing as a good loss? May was big, didn't need to relieve McCambly. Yeah, I think that's exactly what I'm getting to here, Crane Dog, because I thought Luis may have looked the best, no pun intended, he has yet in his big league career. Now, he was an opener the other day in AAA Louisville. They were talking about in Louisville last month. He was the player of the month for the team. So he's been pitching pretty well of late down there. And today, when the Reds really needed someone to get some innings, Julian Garcia kind of has his first mid game in a while where he wasn't so great. And then Chase Petty obviously can't get to the second inning. Like I said, bullpen days are hard. Luis May goes out there and eats up 2 2/3 innings with 4 strikeouts. Has an awesome pickoff move, by the way. I did not know he had that in his bag. I wasn't familiar with this game. I apologize. But man, Johnny says it here. I've never seen May throw strikes like that. I haven't either. He's been a guy where it's man, he has the stuff, but if he can never locate it, he's going to go to a whole new level. We got a glimpse of what Luis May's whole new level could potentially look like. The slider was crisp. He was pounding the strike zone. He was controlling the run game. It's the best he's looked. And it's obviously the most we've gotten to see from him. I don't think he's had another outing in his big league career where he's thrown 2 2/3. So, and the other nice thing too is he threw 37 pitches. So within all those guys tonight, so Chase Petty throws 38, Julian Garcia 39, Luis May 37, Zach McCambly 29. So I wouldn't say they're overworked per se, but you can maybe get an inning out of one of those guys tomorrow if you need it. And obviously Chase Burns is on the hill, so maybe you won't need it after all. We shall see how that goes though. But to see Luis May kind of have this other opportunity, obviously it's not the best circumstances with Hunter Green being placed out for the season. But it was really cool to see him go up there and take advantage of his chance. And, the Reds are down 2 when he's out there. And they certainly had their opportunities in the batter's box to pull this one away, and they didn't. Such is life. But I thought Luis May tonight was really, really good. And it was nice to see, like Crane said, I know there's not, there's no one who's going to be appreciative of a loss, but I think tonight was as good of a loss as you could have had, I guess. Obviously it hurts if people really think they have a chance at the wild card. As I've mentioned many times now, I don't. So this is just kind of watch the team and have some fun for a little while until, if they go get weird and make a run at it, awesome. If they don't, and they're giving me fun, enjoyable baseball like tonight where they had 3 homers, cool. It's win-win. No expectations means a lot more fun watching the team play. And let's talk about some history tonight. That's going to be the theme of the show with some accolades we're going to discuss. We're going to start with Elly De La Cruz making some Reds history.
This is what you'll be talking about.
So when Matt McLain hit his solo shot, and Elly De La Cruz comes up to hit his second to make it back to back, Elly De La Cruz became, for his third time in his career, it was his third time now going 20-20, as in 20 homers and 20 stolen bases. Now, he is the third player in Reds history to do it 3 straight years, with some pretty good names. I'm sure you've heard of them. Brandon Phillips. He did it from 2007 to 2009. And then there's this Eric Davis guy who wore the same number as Elly. I don't know. I just thought that was coincidental. Did it for 4 straight years from 1986 to 1990. And if you know anything about the Cincinnati Reds, those 2 guys are Reds Hall of Famers. So pretty good history to have there. And we've talked about this so much. I know I'm probably a broken record here at this point, but Elly De La Cruz in the leadoff spot has been excellent. I was listening to the radio broadcast when I was coming home from Bengals practice, and that's a whole other podcast for a whole other time. That he's hit like 281 since he became a leadoff hitter. He's got 7 home runs out of the leadoff spot this year. I knew he had a bunch of them, but I didn't realize it was that many. I know that like he's not your stereotypical leadoff hitter, but I think he's gotten to the point where he really likes it because he knows the pressure he puts on teams to start games. Whether it's a home game, they've gone through there for 3 outs, or they're on the road like tonight and he's the first batter of the whole game. And you immediately got to figure out how you're going to get him out because he's not striking out. He still strikes out, obviously. There's no denying that. Strikeouts are part of baseball. It's hard to get mad about those anymore. If you do, you're not going to enjoy baseball. But like we've talked about, now pitchers are looking like, all right, we got Elly, we got Sal. And even JJ Bleday walks a lot. So, if you're the pitcher side of things, and even Tyler Stevenson of late has been hitting really well in the 4 spot, you're kind of playing the Reds. You're like, just get to the first 4 guys and you'll be fine, right? And tonight, the other guys had other moments, don't get me wrong, and Sal Stewart wasn't necessarily great tonight. But you see that's kind of the Reds' strength right now offensively, is if they can get action from the top 4 guys in the order, and then they can kind of go out there and take care. And Pierre says they're right. I mean, the big difference tonight was, the Reds hit 3 homers as a team. The Nationals had a couple homers as a team as well. But all the Reds homers were solo shots, where Washington's were with runners on base. Actually heard a stat today that the last time the Reds hit a non-solo homer was last Friday against the Pirates. So every homer they hit this week was a solo shot. Pretty weird how that works out, but kind of just shows you like, dude, this team needs to get on base. And that's where we're kind of at here. So cool for Elly. Cool to see him kind of keep doing this 2020 thing. Great job being a leadoff hitter. Now we look to, we've got like 7 weeks left of baseball. 30 for 30. Is 30-30 in play? Could he pull? He's not going to do 30-50 like Eric Davis. I know that. Obviously, I don't think he's going to steal 29 bags in the last 7 weeks of the season. Be pretty cool if he did, but I don't see it happening. But a 30-30 year would be pretty awesome. And he's gotten close, but he hasn't done it quite yet. So great night for Elly to hit some historical milestones. And Eugenio Suárez also hit some milestones, while Matt McLain and Hector Rodriguez also had big moments for their big league careers as well. We're going to talk about that on the other end of the break. But first, a big thank you to our friends at Amazon for this limited break. This back-to-school season, spend less on your kids with Amazon. We all know how crazy the back-to-school shopping experience can be. It starts with a few items on the list, then suddenly you're shopping for supplies, clothes, lunch gear, tech, and about 10 other things you didn't see coming. It adds up fast. The school supply list, when you look at it and you wonder if you're shopping for one child or opening a small office supply store. I didn't realize first grade required this much inventory. Shopping like this can get out of hand if you're not careful. When the school says your child needs a calculator, headphones, tablet for class, somehow you're buying another one before the semester's halfway over? Since when do kids need so much for tech for 3rd grade? When it's 9 p.m. the night before school starts and somebody suddenly remembers they need folders, notebooks, markers, and apparently 12 other things nobody mentioned until now. Nothing gets the heart rate up quite like emergency school shopping. I'm convinced Prime's Deliver Tomorrow Before 7 a.m. feature was created exclusively for parents in this moment. So remember, with Amazon's low back-to-school prices, just spend less on your kids, because every dollar you don't spend on them is a dollar you haven't spent on them. Shop back to school with Amazon and spend less on your kids. Thank you all so much for making Locked On Reds your first listen of each and every day, whether it's with me, catching up on the game the night before on the Postcast, or checking out Jeff and Steve Monday through Friday on Locked On Reds as well, as they kind of get you through the remainder of the season, the big picture. And I'm here to take care of game by game. And if you are an everydayer, let's step up your everydayer game and join the Locked On Everydayer Club for $5 a month or $50 a year. Get access to ad-free episodes of all your favorite Locked On podcasts, and you also get access to our Discord chat. We're in there talking baseball, and we want to talk ball with all of you. Well, I'm trying to figure out the accolades I can use here, but maybe we'll have some fun with it.
It's time to reveal who made the biggest under-the-radar impact with today's X Factor.
So Gino has a few of these tonight that I want to talk about that are pretty cool. So the big one is obviously he played his 1,000th career game as a Red. Pretty neat. He homered in his 1,000th career game as a Red. Also neat. Let me pull my notes up real quick to make sure I say this all correctly, because it's a bit of a mouthful. Gino is the fourth player in Reds history to homer in his 1,000th game with the team, joining Ernie Lombardi, Frank Robinson, and some Barry Larkin guy. I don't know if you guys ever heard of him. So that was pretty cool to see. Also, that home run puts Gino at 204 career home runs as a member of the Cincinnati Reds, which passes one Eric Davis, who is at 203. So Gino is now 10th all time in the Reds home run rankings, and just ahead of him with 210, some Ken Griffey Jr. guy who played for the team about 20 years ago. So does Gino catch Griffey this year? Does Gino get a chance to do it next year with the Reds? Is there baseball next year? Is obviously the big question. Time will tell, but I wanted to make sure we gave him some love there because it's really cool. And I know this has been a really tough year to be an Eugenio Suárez fan. Believe me, I can attest to it. This is going to be one of these things where, he's going to have 4 or 5 strikeouts, hit a home run. 4 or 5 strikeouts, hit a home run. And if we can go ahead and do that and get that from him, I will take it the rest of the year. He's got 15 on the season now. He's obviously not going to hit that 49 he hit last year between Arizona and Seattle. If he gives him 25, I think he's got 10 more in him this year. We'll see. Time will tell, but I certainly think that it's in the way. I don't know if he's got 15 more. I don't know if he's going to reach 30, but 27, 28 homers, I will take, considering what this team really needed last year. So congratulations to Gino on some great history. We'll see what the rest of your Reds career looks like, or your big league career in general. Other things we want to talk about, obviously. So Matt McLain, when he hit his homer on the first end of that back-to-back with Elly De La Cruz today, got his 50th career extra base hit. So that is doubles, triples, and home runs combined. That was his 50th. And then obviously had a double in the 5th inning for his 51st. Another guy where it's like, man, actually McLain was really good tonight, all things considered. 2 big hits. I thought he swung the bat pretty well. He's changed his stance up a little bit since he got back from the IL. He's got 2 homers this week. I don't know, man. He's a guy that I just want to believe in. I just can't anymore. But he has these moments like that, right? That ball he hit, the homer he hit in the 3rd inning was 422 feet and 104.5 miles off the bat. So there's still some talent there. Maybe it's a mental thing. Maybe it's just like still figuring out the mechanics of his shoulder. But hopefully we can get him going and he can kind of have that, like Pierre says, that Tyler Stevenson resurgence would be really nice to see. And then, of course, a big congratulations to Hector Rodriguez getting his first big league hit. Smoked the ball into the gap, in the right center field gap, and so he had a stand-up double. I kind of talked about this yesterday's show where with him, I know he hadn't had a hit yet, but I really liked how patient he was in the box. Now he was working the strike zone. He definitely has some ugly swings, but you suspect that from a kid that young. But he worked 2 walks in the homestand, and of course Jacob Wilson took a homer. Jacob Wilson. I'm getting him confused with his dad. Took a ball away from him, which should have been his first big league hit, which Wilson made a heck of a play. So that kid's going to be pretty good. I'm pretty excited to see what he turns into. Certainly got a lot of talent. But look, I know if you came here tonight and you wanted to gripe about the loss, I get it. I can go ahead and be, honest here for a second and say that once again, they got to get better with runners in scoring position. They were 1 for 5 tonight. They left 5 on base, and they lost by 2 runs. So that's kind of, like we said earlier, the story of the game is when Washington hit homers, they had guys on base. When the Reds hit homers, there were solo shots. But I like how the Reds are playing of late. I don't really have anything to complain about. Elly tonight got on base 3 times at the top of the order. They're going to have better days, and they're going to have a bit worse days. But tonight was at least fun. We got to have some Reds history along the way and see some stuff just for the season. But even with that being said, the Reds do lose tonight to the Washington Nationals 5-3. The Nats have 5 runs on 7 hits and no errors. The Reds have 3 runs on 7 hits and an error. Cade Cavalli is your winning pitcher. He is now 9-5 with a 3.57 ERA. Julian Garcia takes the loss. He's now 2-3 with a 2.74 ERA. And Clayton Beeter gets his 12th save of the year, but he now has a 3.86 earned run average. And the Reds are back at it tomorrow in our nation's capital, and it's Chase Burns Day. Chase Burns takes the hill for the Reds. He is 13-1 with a 2.35 ERA. He'll be going up against Andrew Alvarez of the Nationals, who is 2-3 with a 3.94. First pitch will be at 6:45 if they don't have some random unnecessary rain delay. We know things can get weird in DC, but everyone, thank you so much for hanging out with me tonight. I greatly appreciate it. I'm Tim Daniel. Looking forward to a new day tomorrow. Go Red Legs. I will talk to you all then.